Hello, everyone. Today's chess puzzle.
Let's dive in.
Okay, let's lay out the board. For white, we have queen on d7, rook on h7, another rook on e4, pawn g4, knight c3, pawn h3, pawns a2, b2, bishop f2, and the king sitting on g2.
All right. And for black, rook on f8, king g8, pawn a6, bishop f6, pawn g6, knight h6, pawn e5, bishop c4, and importantly, the queen on c1.
Got it. And it is black's turn to move.
Right.
Let's get this going.
Okay, so the first thing really that catches my eye is black's queen down there on c1. It's staring straight at the f1 square, which looks completely open right now.
Yeah, it definitely stands out. White's king on g2. It seems okay for now. Guarded by the h3 pawn, the bishop on f2.
It seems relatively safe, yes, but you know that black bishop on f6, that could become a factor. It's positioned to maybe put some pressure on the king side later on.
True. And the rooks. They're on the board, but not really engaging directly yet. Same for the knights, kind of waiting.
Exactly. Poised, but not active just yet. And don't forget black's other bishop on c4, controlling some useful central squares there.
Okay, so back to that queen. If black plays queen to f1, that seems like the most forcing move, right? Puts immediate pressure on.
Absolutely. Queen c1 to f1 looks like a very strong initial idea. It opens up that attack line.
So if queen to f1, what's white thinking? King g3 maybe? Get out the back rank?
I think that's the most likely response. White would probably want to, get the king out of immediate danger. So king g2 to g3 seems logical, avoids any quick threats along that first rank.
Okay, white plays king g3. Now what for black? Does that bishop on f6 come into play now?
That feels like the natural follow-up. After king g3, black could swing that bishop from f6 over h4.
Ah, bishop to h4. And that, let's see, that pins the pawn on g3 against the king.
Precisely. A really nice move. The g3 pawn is stuck. It can't move without exposing the king on g3 to the queen on f1.
That's a tricky pin. So white's king is suddenly feeling a bit cramped on g3. What if white tries king to h4? Tries to break the pin that way.
Okay, if white plays king g3 to h4, well, black has a strong reply. The queen can then shift from f1 to f2. Check.
Queen f1 to f2, check. Okay, white's king on h4 is attacked. The only safe square looks like g5.
Yeah, king h4 to g5 seems forced. Gotta escape the check.
So white king moves to g5. Black's queen is now active on f2. How does black keep the pressure on?
Well, from f2, the queen isn't done. You can slide over to f6. Queen f2 to f6. Check again.
Another check. Queen to f6. White's king on g5 has to move again. Looks like h6 is the only option.
Right. King g5 retreats to h6.
King to h6. Okay, so black has the queen on f6. The bishop is still on h4 covering squares. And that rook on f8 has just been sitting there. Feels like it's time.
It is exactly the time. With the white king forced onto h6, black can now bring the final piece into the attack. Rook f8 moves to f6.
Rook f8 to f6, and that's checkmate. The king on h6 has no escape squares, covered by the rook, queen, and bishop.
Checkmate it is. A really nice sequence.
So the answer is, black queen moves c1 to f1.
White king moves g2 to g3.
Black bishop moves f6 to h4.
White king moves g3 to h4.
Black queen moves f1 to f2, check.
White king moves h4 to g5.
Black queen moves f2 to f6, check.
White king moves g5 to h6.
Black rook moves f8 to f6, checkmate.
There you go. Queen f1, king g3, bishop h4, king h4, queen f2, king g5, queen f6, king h6, and rook f6 delivers the mate. It all flows from that initial queen f1 move and exploiting the pin. Beautiful coordination.
Thank you for listening.